You all know by now that I love making your backlogs even larger, and Xbox are making that a rather easy task this week as they have yet again brought us some more incredible games that are on some very steep discounts. You have everything here from AAA to indies on sale this week, and I've highlighted the 15 best that you can grab right now. Before we dive in as well, remember I am giving away a free Xbox game every single week on these sales videos. All you have to do is just comment below and I will pick a winner next Wednesday. Congratulations to last week's winner, just hit me up on our awesome Discord server and I'll get that game right over to you. With that, you'll have to excuse the fact that I'm a little under the weather and a little bit poorly at the moment, but let's just dive into the fantastic deals you need to grab for this week. Starting off this week and delving into the horror genre just right out the gate, we have Still Wakes the Deep, and to me this was just pure atmospheric dread, but contains a really great oil rig horror story that's soaked in rain, wind and tension. This one was on Game Pass for quite a while, but it has since left the service, but this week is now down to its lowest price that I've seen for it yet. To give you an idea, you're basically cut off from the world, trapped on a collapsing rig in the middle of the North Sea, and something unspeakable will be lurking in the dark. There's no combat and no guns, it's just instinct, fear, and the constant roar of the storm around you. It kind of reminds me of games like Firewatch in terms of the controls and the experience, but of course much darker and way more horror-filled. It's just £7.50 with 75% off, and that is a must purchase for fans of narrative horror games, especially if you like stuff like Alien Isolation or even Summer. Few games really did capture that sheer panic this well, and it's a shame that is no longer on Xbox Game Pass. By now, you probably already know that Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition is a breathtaking platformer, and this game really tugs at my heartstrings every bloody time. This week, the price is just too good for you to ignore as well if you somehow haven't tried it out yet, and if you haven't, then man, you're on for an absolute journey. In this one, you take on the role of Ori, who's a guardian spirit just navigating a forest on the brink of ruin. The game's movement is very fluid and satisfying, with mechanics like wall jumping, double jumping, and even dash boosts that kind of feel better the more that you master them. Visually, it's a stunning game as every environment is painted with a glowing ethereal touch that just enhances that emotional weight of the story, and the aesthetic is just a chef's kiss. At just under £4, this is an essential pickup for platformer fans and one of the finest Metroidvanias available on Xbox to this day. I just hope we do get a new Ori game sometime in the near future. You may remember, but this one actually arrived back in 2025 from 11-bit Studios, and it's so underrated and a cracking price for this week. The Alters follows protagonist Jan Dolsky, who's a space miner, and he has to make alternate versions of himself to survive a dangerous uninhabitable planet that he's just crash landed on. As a survivor of a lone expedition gone wrong, Jan's clones, decisions and use of Rabidum paved the way for a fascinating look at who Jan is on a deeper level. Each of your Alters' life is shaped by one another's and by Jan's possible decisions in his previous or future life. In a game filled with so much survival and exploration, the Alters' deeper story really raises questions about whether people truly have control over their destiny or not. It is such a fantastic and morally complex sci-fi adventure that is made even better by its beautiful visuals and just really great gameplay, to be honest. I highly recommend it. It's now down by a cracking 40% this week, and that is truly a lovely discount. I absolutely love my time with Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 when it dropped onto Xbox Game Pass back in May of 2024, and for me, Ninja Theories is one of the best studios out there, especially for storytelling underneath that Xbox umbrella. Of course, not everyone felt the same way about this one, and I can certainly understand why, as it was a very mixed title, but for £12.50, it's a decent one to grab if you get the chance, and that's why I'm highlighting it today. This one though follows the one and only Senua as she struggles with trauma and mental illness in a world steeped in Norse mythology. The game really did build on the groundbreaking elements of the original title, but with even more impressive visuals, sound design, and even storytelling. The gameplay here though combines visceral combat with puzzle solving and exploration, and it's all woven seamlessly into a story, and it's done pretty well. Yeah, the combat may not be as varied as many would have wanted, and it doesn't really improve much on the original, except in terms of the visuals and the storytelling department. However, it's still a great entry that continues this mind-blowing IP, and I do hope we get a third one sometime in the near future. I've never actually mentioned Discounty here on the channel before, and I wanted to rectify this today after seeing the reviews and just how well praised it's been by many other reviewers out there. Upon watching the review by friends of the channel Switch Up, the game looks to have a very simple but relaxing premise to it, as you're basically managing your own discount supermarket. It kind of gives me a massive sort of Stardew Valley vibe, and that's not a bad comparison by any means. You will of course be able to explore the city that you're located in, speak to all the wonderful people who inhabit the realm, and then of course stack the shelves. You can even do things like sort out your supermarket layout and so much more. As mentioned, the reviews reviews have been pretty decent, and even Switch Up, who I mentioned before, have actually given it a fairly high score, and they do have a good knack of finding some great games. I can see it's now on discount for the very first time this week as well, and you get a lovely 30% off. Few games really capture that feeling of playing inside a fairy tale quite like a Juggler's Tale. It's told through the lens of a puppet show, and you'll guide Abby, a string-bound heroine, through a side-scrolling adventure where every action is framed by the hands of fate, quite literally, with strings tugging at your every move. The art direction is just truly stunning here, with a sort of handcrafted quality that makes every scene feel alive, whilst the narration adds a theatrical flair that constantly breaks that fourth wall. It mixes a lot of puzzles, platforming the story into a short but memorable experience, and it kind of reminds me of stuff like Little Nightmares, so if you enjoy those sort of platforming adventures, then you'll definitely love this one. Right now, it's down to just £1.29, and that's a staggering 90% off, and to be honest, you've just got to get it at that price. It's the cost of a bus ticket, and you get such a poetic, unique adventure that's totally worth savouring. One of the largest and most high-profile hidden gems of the Xbox One era just has to be Quantum Break, and for me, this was actually one of the reasons I wanted to pick up an Xbox One in the first place. It might have overextended a little bit with the experimental sort of TV tie-in element, but Quantum Break has moments where its mix of third-person shooting and temporal powers really soar. That transition from TV show to gameplay is incredibly well done, and it's since become a cult classic within the Xbox community, with many of us really calling for a sequel. It's definitely worth playing Quantum Break just for those moments alone, when you've trapped an enemy in a prism-like stasis bubble and then peppered them with soon-to-be unfrozen bullets, and then warp dashed over to another baddie for a melee takedown, all in a span of a few seconds. This game is like none other within the Xbox catalogue right now, and for just £7.20, it's totally worth it. You know what else is totally worth it? Hitting that subscribe button down below, as you'll be treated to some amazing Xbox content on a daily basis, and the support is so greatly appreciated. I want to thank you so much as well to our incredible Xbox community, as this is now one of the fastest growing Xbox channels here on YouTube and online. With that, let's just dive back into the remaining sales for this week, and then stay tuned for some cracking Xbox content over the next couple of days. An awesome action role-playing game called Empyreal is also down by 75% this week, and if you like roguelikes but chucked in with some ARPG flavour, then this is one you'll need to keep your eye on. As I mentioned, Empyreal is an action RPG in a richly detailed sci-fi fantasy universe, and it is rather complex and also quite challenging from time to time. In essence, an expedition has landed on an unexplored planet and then finds a colossal monolith built by a lost civilization. You'll then have to essentially just venture out into that towering behemoth and then face the automatons that remain and uncover the revelations of why this monolith is actually here. It's a really great indie experience, and from what I've played so far, I'm actually quite digging it, even though it's slightly unpolished around the corners. Feel free to ask me more about this one in the comments below if you are interested, but I was also quite surprised to see this was a debut title from such a small indie development team. Ruffy and the Riverside has been on my wishlist for quite a long time now since its official reveal, and now that it's on discount for the first time by 30%, I just easily jumped at that opportunity. Yes, your eyes aren't deceiving you either. This is a 3D paper stylized platformer adventure game, and the main gameplay focuses around the swap system. This is a mechanic that allows you to copy textures from one object and then put them onto another. For such a simple concept, this game uses it in an amazing way. Puzzles feel creative and unique, and that mechanic feels like a true part of the gameplay rather than just a gimmick. The game also reminds me of Tears of the Kingdom, and the reviews over on Steam are certainly agreeing with that comparison. It's a great indie, and I just love these unique indie experiences. Again, it's down by 30% this week to just £11.89, and I recommend you check it out as soon as you can. One of the hidden indie gems which I loved diving into last year was Jump Space. It is still in its early access period right now, but the game is super solid, so fun, and they just keep adding so much great content on a consistent basis. This one though is a co-op adventure that is pure chaos in the best way. I've already lost countless hours now playing this one with my friends as we just explored the vast stretches of space, battled different enemies, and uncovered some new worlds. It's got some fast-paced first-person shooter action to it as well, and Jump Space has definitely been on my regular playlist ever since I picked it up. I will say that the space combat is very reminiscent of a game called Chorus. If you remember, that was the dogfighting game which actually came out at the start of this Xbox Series generation. It's a very good game, and for one that's stuck in early access, it's totally got enough content to dive into. It's only down by 20% off, but the price is so reasonable at just £13.40. EcoGnomix has actually been getting some fantastic reviews since it released last year, and it's one indie that I just wish had way more attention, as it's actually really good. This week you're seeing a cracking sale as well, as it's a big 55% off, and now brings the game down to an incredibly reasonable price tag of just £7.50. I do recommend it if you're a fan of the strategy game genre or just city builders, as you'll have to send a team of specialized gnomes on roguelike runs into a labyrinth of enchanted caves. It gives me massive SteamWorld build sort of vibes, and I know that game only just left Xbox Game Pass recently, so if you want to wet your whistle into this brand new genre, then it's totally going to be up your alley. If you want to know what the combat is like as well, it is turn-based, but it's been highly praised already by many who have played the game since its launch. I've really enjoyed my time with this one during my sort of 15-ish hours now, and again, you can grab this for as little as £7.50 in this week's sale. Keeping within the strategy genre, and if you love real-time strategy games just like me, there's one this week you should definitely put on your radar. Grit and Valor 1949 was originally announced as a VR exclusive quite a few years back, but it now has a full flat-screen experience release on console, and it's something quite special. This one is set though in a gritty diesel punk take on the post-war Europe, and you'll command a team of resistant mech pilots battling against a twisted Axis regime in an alternate version of World War II. The action does actually unfold across procedurally generated maps that are across 4 diverse regions, challenging you to evolve your strategies on the fly. With a lot of the roguelike elements, brutal boss fights, and a constantly shifting battlefield, this one can be a real test of your tactical skill. I haven't actually had a chance to fully complete it, but the controls work very well for console. I just wish it wasn't too buggy in certain elements. Still, for £10, you really can't go wrong, especially if you love these sort of strategy experiences. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning is actually one of those games that deserved a second life, and it really did get one. This is the remastered version that sharpened the visual elements, smoothed out the combat a lot more, and then bundled in all of the DLC from the sprawling 2012 RPG. The world of Amalur really is bursting with lore though if you've never experienced it before. It's written in part by fantasy author R.A. Salvatore, and its combat then remains its biggest strength as well, as it's very fluid, fast, and dynamic, especially for a game that came out before modern action RPGs took over in this space this generation. There's enough loots, quests, and side stories for you to keep busy for weeks, yet it's very approachable for a lot of newcomers out there. At just £9 after a 75% discount, is finally priced like the hidden gem it always was. If you missed it the first time around, now's the perfect chance to explore this overlooked epic gem, and I wish it got way more eyes on it. Having a little bit of a look over this list today before I made it, I seem to have mentioned city builders a lot more than usual, and to be honest, that's quite a great thing as we have so many awesome ones to pick from these day and age. Another one that I just have to highlight for you is Aven Colony, and it takes the genre off-world instead. Basically, instead of managing pollution or traffic jams, you're instead dealing with alien diseases, oxygen levels, and the hostile environments around you. The game challenges you to create thriving human settlements across different extraterrestrial landscapes, balancing the needs of your colonists with the harsh realities of alien weather and also its wildlife. It's less about endless sandboxing and more about structured missions, which makes it perfect for players who want goals alongside creativity. The best part, it's ridiculously cheap right now at just £2.64 after a massive 90% discount. That is the cost of a cup of tea, and the fact that it's also the deluxe edition is totally absurd. I then want to bring to you a game today that I personally wanted to highlight in this list, and I reckon 99% of you have never even heard of it before. Robobeat is a very fast-paced rhythm-based shooter, and it has such a unique style and is very fun and addictive once you get into a good flow. It allows you to use custom music as well, which is huge, and allows for a bit of extra variety within your runs, as the BPM of the song you choose dictates the speed at which you can take actions. My only real complaint from time to time is that I have no interest in the parkour segments of the game, which it kind of forces you to go down once they're unlocked. Fortunately, you can just fail them and move on to the next room, but you just won't get a reward. This is easily a proud definition of an indie game that is supremely hidden, and it's such a bloody shame. It's down by 50%, bringing it just to £8.37, and I recommend you get this one as soon as possible. What game on this list today intrigues you? You'll have to let me know down below, and I would be keen to hear what you guys have picked up in any of the sales recently. I'm always keen to have a discussion and speaking about anything Xbox with you in the comment section below. Remember to smash that like button as well if you did enjoy, and do subscribe for more videos like this so you don't miss out of course on those giveaways and for more Xbox content on a daily basis. If you do want to check out some amazing Xbox content here on the channel, I actually recently dived into Highguard. I wanted to give you my review of the game based on the Xbox version, and I tell you what, there's also a few performance issues which I did highlight.